I want to get to Mohamed El-Erian. Why? Because he is one of the most widely followed and listened to financial and money minds on the planet. This is a whole discussion, Mohamed, that we are watching at the moment, where there's so much news that matters on the global stage, and yet we just crossed Dow 20,000. Do you see the twain, in a way, conversing, and what is the key thing that keeps the extension of a Dow 20,000 rally?
Absolutely. It's all about policy. Policy, policy, policy. So what keeps this rally going and widens it is continuous signal that the Trump administration is moving on deregulation, on tax reform, and on infrastructure. And that is the fuel for the rally. It has been and will continue to be.
Did you hear those breaking news headlines? And we can put some of them up. That first Mike Pence had said that they will relieve the burden of Dodd-Frank. You at Allianz, I'm sure, and having been at all of your financial operations, have dealt with the what some say have been onerous rules of Dodd-Frank that are big regulations. What does that mean to somebody like you and to the financial world, which has, by the way, led the rally since Election Day for the banks?
So the news is going to be welcome, especially by the big banks. They're going to see this as yet another enabler for them. And it comes on top of two other enablers. So not only are we seeing the possibility of deregulation, but we're also seeing interest rates going back up. That's good for banks. And we're also seeing the economy growth perspective going back up. So this is just going to reinforce the sense that financials are in a much better place than they've been for quite a long time.
It matters to me that you're here, especially on a day like this, because I remember back in October we spoke and you were going more to cash. I believe you had about 30% in cash, which seemed a little high for a guy like you who likes to put his money to work. 1 month later was the election, and we've seen this rather incredible rally, and we can show what the major indices have done since then. But to me, my question to you is, now what are you in? What are you telling clients? And please share it with our viewers.
So think of going into the election, there was a lot of uncertainty, not just here, but also globally. So the idea was to build optionality, have more cash at one end and higher risk exposures on the other end so that you don't completely miss a rally. After the elections was all about financial and industrials. Then it was about the lagging sectors, technology in particular. Now, if this continues, there are two areas that should be of interest. One is consumer-related names, and the other one, emerging markets. And I think that's how this rally broadens, provided the Trump administration delivers on its pro-growth policy announcements.
Are you worried at all about anything that Donald Trump has proposed, said, or done?
What I worry about most right now for markets is that the rest of the world is so behind the U.S. So the U.S. alone can take the market up to a certain level, but you also need the rest of the world to participate in this new policy pivot. Otherwise, the rest of the world is going to be a constraint on how well the U.S. markets can do.
Well, that brings me to the UK and the rest of the world. And as we wait on Theresa May, and again, the UK Prime Minister about to give this speech, and we actually have had, Mohamed, a little bit of clarity on what she's going to talk about. It's almost like this superhero relationship, Captain America, Donald Trump. And listen, I'm not genuflecting here. I'm not being obsequious. I'm simply saying that if Donald Trump and Theresa May are getting together, it's like Wonder Woman, Captain America. Can they save the world? Can they? You know, you have a tentative economy, certainly in the UK. The United States has been getting better and better. Since the past year, we have something like 75 weeks of job creation. And, you know, look, we call it like we see it. President Obama did hand Donald Trump a stable, or at least more stable, economy. But what does she have to say to make this a stronger bond?
So they need to help each other, and help each other in the area of trade. With Brexit, the UK is going through a fundamental redefinition of its trading relations. The US is looking to renegotiate some of its long-standing bilateral and multilateral agreements. So the special relationship should provide an anchor for both sides on the trade side. And that's what I would look to. That's what I would call success, is that they come together and anchor each other's new trading relations. There are other things on the security front that are critical, but on the economic front, it's about trade.
Trade, trade, trade. And one last word, certainly, about Dow 20,000. You know, yet the Wall Street Journal saying, oh, it's anachronistic. Look, it's a psychological round number. Now what metric are you looking at? Forget Dow 20,000. We're to it and through it.
The dollar. The one thing that worries me is that if other countries do not join the U.S., the dollar will appreciate too much. Why? Because this economy will be stronger, attracting more inflows, and because the Fed will deliver on at least 3 hikes this year. So the concern is that the dollar appreciates too much. So keep an eye on the dollar. That's going to have a big influence on what other markets do.
Yeah. Well, the U.S. dollar is slightly weaker today, and that is driving oil up because, of course, oil is denominated in dollars. But, Mohamed, you remain optimistic?
Yes, I do.
Great to have you. Mohamed El-Erian of Allianz.